南无本师释迦牟尼佛，南无本师释迦牟尼佛，南无本师释迦牟尼佛。We pay homage to our respected teacher, Shakyamuni Buddha. Okay, here we go again. Long time no see. It's been over a month, 5 weeks. I think that may have five weeks. Yeah, it's a long time. Okay, so still chat with Sze Fu. So the first question is explain the difference between the 3 characteristics and the 3 seals. So the 3 characteristics is anicca, dukkha, and anatta. No, those are the 3 seals. No, those are the 3 characteristics. And the 3 seals are anicca, anatta, and nibbana. And you can see those are actually, there are 2 common factors in there, is anicca and anatta. Right? Anicca and anatta. So we will look at this. It's that's why I find sometimes language could become a barrier to understand the Dhamma, because a lot of time we sort of bound by our knowledge of interpretation, our knowledge of understanding. As I always say, there is our own interpretation, our own understanding of language. And a lot of times we actually are bound, are limited by our own understanding, our own interpretation of language. And that sometimes it could create misunderstanding or not comprehensive understanding of the Dhamma words, especially the Dhamma words. I mean, I'm not just talking about you. I'm talking about myself also. But I think I have I'm fortunate enough because I read Chinese. I understand Chinese, so that gives me a very different perspective sometimes, and a really deeper and wider perspective of the understanding of the Dhamma. I'm actually studying the Diamond Sutra in English. I find it's very difficult for me to understand, to grasp that meaning in English, because I know the Diamond Sutra so well in Chinese, especially talking about the four presentation of the 4 forms, and the last form is about the about the soul, which is really completely off from the Chinese translation. Chinese translation is about time, lifetime, like age, like lifespan. So it's actually very, very, very confusing. Have to rely back onto the old literature in Sanskrit, or going back into the Chinese canon to really look through see if there is any other interpretation or definition to make that better. Still trying. So sometimes you will be, as this question is obvious, actually very obvious, there is this limitation of language to express the depth of the definition of the Dhamma. But I want you to know these common factors, anicca and anatta, are no different. It's only the dukkha and the nibbana. One is in dukkha, one is with nibbana. So when we talk about the 3 characteristics, of course, sorry, I got all. Did you get it right? No, I can't do it. Okay, never mind. I got it all out. But anyway, So remember, in the literature, it says the Dharma seals are the first three: the impermanence, the non-self, the nibbana. But the three characteristics are impermanence, non-self, and unsatisfactoriness, like suffering. Okay, so we need to understand why are they called Dharma seals. Why they call Dharma seals? These are the seals that mean there are marks when there is a seal or stamp, or you can call it a Dharma stamp. And when it's stamped there, that means it makes a print, and you want to verify. Like in the old days, or like nowadays, if you send out bulk mails, right? If your bulk mails, if each of the mail is like $1, so if it's a bulk mail, they stamp $1 stamp on your envelope, right? So when the postman thought that, oh, this one is $1, yeah, but this one is heavy, so it should be $1.50. So it gives some standard for the postman to verify whether that postage is enough or is proper, right? So the Dharma seals are, or the characteristics or the three marks of existence are actually given to us so that we could use this to verify what we see, what we hear, what we read, to verify whether they are actually according to what the Buddha taught. You still with me? It is a difficult question to actually to answer. So this is a verification, and the Buddha has once said, if of course this is what he taught, right? But he said if there is any teaching that wasn't being taught by him, but yet it could be verified by these three marks, and you should consider that as the truth also. Okay, so that is the three marks of existence are really the first three the characteristics. Okay, so so you understand the first three. So the first one is sabbe sankhara anicca. That means everything is all things. Sankhara, you can actually interpret it as all things, all phenomena are impermanent, are fleeting, in the fleeting mode of change, constant state of flux. So as human life, this human life actually embodies this flux also when we were born till the day we die. So we actually embody this flux of changes in everyday life, right? Not just everyday life, it's actually every second and every moment to moment. So in this process and this cycle of, and also after we die, we said that there are past lives, there is this present life, and there will be future lives. So there is this cycles of life and rebirth. Okay. So in here, and we actually and we see that throughout our own life, we see that with our own body, things arise. I mean, my hair grows, and then I shaved it off, or with you getting old, it falls off, right? So it falls off. Sometimes it grows back, but very little, and then it falls off. So that tells us that is a cycle of change. So this is actually applicable to us human beings, or to all beings, and also their environments, the living environments. Okay, so And impermanence actually include not just in the human world, it's also in the diva world, up in the heavenly beings too. And also in the hell's realm, okay? So hell's realm, you know, is called Naraka realm, okay? The diva world and the hell's realm. And that is understandable. If the diva world is permanent, or if the hell's realm is permanent, then that means they have no hope. The hell's realm have no hope to be reborn in higher beings. And the diva's world would be constantly like in the diva worlds, and they will have no hope to come back as a human being to learn the Dharma, right? There's no hope for them. So that is why they are also subjected to impermanence, okay? So, but of course, when you look at impermanent to Nibbana, Nibbana is totally different. Nibbana is reality that is actually not anicca, it's nicca. So you know that in Pali, anything with an A before, that is negative, right? And so Nibbana is nicca, so Nibbana is permanent. But we talk about that, it's not eternal. I don't want to use the word eternal because it, actually ever asked me a question about eternity, about eternal, and I said it's really not eternal. It's actually permanent, and if you have the Paranibbana Sutra at home, you can actually read about that. In the Paranibbana Sutra, Dai Po Li Phun Ging, it actually talk about Nibbana being permanent. We read about that, I think yesterday or the day before, can't remember that. But anyway, yeah. So this is actually quite contrast, because Nibbana actually is not subjected to change, decay, nor death. All right, but yet we are. So that is the first mark of existence, impermanence. And the second mark of existence is this non-self, or some people like to call it no-self. I rather call it anatta. Anatta. So in the Pali terms, it's called Sabbe Dhamma Anatta. That means all Dhamma is really, there is no inherent self there. That means there is nothing in there that is non-changing, that is permanent. So in human beings, human beings, and also in inanimate beings, they still have inanimates, they're still subjected to this mark of existence, because what is the self of this stick? You know, is the wood the self? Is the plastic the self? Is the paint the self? Or what? No, it's a combination. Remember when we talk about the Heart Sutra, Sunatta, right? It's a conditions, and it's indivisible. Indivisible? Indivisible, yeah, indivisible. It cannot be divided sometimes. So this non-self refers to really this doctrine of no self. That means no unchanging permanent self or in the Western language they always like to use soul. I don't like that. I prefer the self, because why self is so important to understand about this self, because of our attachment to this self. That's why there are so much sufferings created from that attachment. So if this is a non-self mark, the non-self mark being the truth, that means there is a possibility that I will actually attain this non-self state. And that is optimistic, right? So, so for us, when you talk about a soul, then there is this soul, that there is this kind of eternity thing in there, which I still cannot grasp. How can that be compared to a self? Maybe when I have more wisdom, I will understand that better. Okay, so the third seal is called Nibbana. So we all know Nibbana is really beyond our imagination, beyond our comprehension, beyond our understanding. It's not something that you can grasp by studying, you can grasp by thinking about it, you can grasp by reading about it. No, you can only get it when this wisdom and virtues and merits are all in perfected state. Then you reach to that Nibbana state. And also total eradications of all defilements, whether they are the kilesa defilements, the sleeping defilements, or other defilements. So this is what the Buddha taught is really beyond our human conceptualization or imagination. So whenever a student asks me about what is Nibbana, I said, I don't know. I really don't know. I have no experience of Nibbana, so don't ask me. Go and ask the Buddha. Because the Buddha already said, and many teachers in the past have said about Nibbana. So you want to know about Nibbana, you can read thousands of articles about Nibbana, but those are all hearsay. Yeah. And I think the most actually practical way is really come back and practice yourself. When you in your deep meditation, the mind so composed and unified, and there is really no one thought in there, and there is no reactive behavior, and even though things start to arise from the deeper part of the mind, you can still maintain that kind of equanimity. At that moment, you can say that you actually have a little bit of glimpse of real peace and quietude. And I can remember exactly how he put it. Rahula Vapola, you remember he wrote the book What the Buddha Taught. He actually described something about Nibbana is extreme peace, something like that. I can't really remember his exact words, but he uses extreme peace. It's not just peace; it's extreme peace. You may look it up in his book if you have it. Okay, so these are the first three. Actually, they call it the Dhamma seals. But yet, you look at Nibbana. Nibbana is actually non-self, right? Actually, it's non-self, and Nibbana is permanent. But yet, then, when we take Nibbana out, and you can see these three, the last one, including the fourth one, actually describe the nature of existence, right? And Nibbana is extreme peace, and there is no suffering in there. So throughout in the Mahayana teachings, they actually include the fourth one, is this unsatisfactoriness of that means all suffering, sabbe sankhara dukkha, and they are called the four seals, four Dhamma seals, rather than the three Dhamma seals. So the fourth one is the last one, the suffering part. So all all phenomena, all things are actually, including the physical and the mental, all sufferings and dissatisfaction, because following rebirth, following or birth, following aging, and following sickness and dying is suffering. It brings on a lot of sufferings, and who likes it? Nobody likes it, right? So it's actually a lot of dissatisfaction in there. As a being, as a human being, there is a lot of dissatisfaction in there, and so it causes so much suffering. So that is the truth. That is one truth. That is one truth that you can actually verify with our own experience in life. Also, and everything, and also in this suffering, also, is all conditioned, right? It's all conditioned, and things come together. Oh, pleasantness. Things depart, unpleasantness. So it's actually all conditioned, and it's also what? It's also impermanent, right? So, and we can see this. So adding this, the last one, the suffering part, it becomes the four Dharma seals. And especially in the Mahayana Sutra, if you want to read about that, it's actually, there is a Yogacara Bhumi Sutra, or the questions of the Naga king. It actually talks about the four seals. So you can see in these four seals, except the Nibbana, is actually not a characteristics of existence, right? All the other three are the stamps, are the seals. You know what I mean, right? Nibbana is actually an attainment. So that's I don't know whether you can get the difference now. You understand a little bit more about this now. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah. So remember, if I think for most of us, I think we need to really understand the four seals rather than just the three seals, because 1, 2, and 4 actually are the marks of existence. But yet, Nibbana is the attainment of transcendence from these marks. Right? Okay? For the time being. All right. Question 2. Quite a few questions here. This question is that if one begins to recognize conducive conditions leading to more calming meditation sit, that is, time of day, space, location, alone or in a group, is it better to continue with the routine, or is it better to sometimes modify conditions, allowing the mind to stretch and learn calmness in other conditions as well? You're bound by your concept of meditation. You're limited by your concept of meditation. You think that meditation is really just calming meditation sit. It could be very stormy, but yet in the midst of the storm there is calmness. And meditation is not just sitting. Meditation is mindfulness, and it should be there 24/7. It should, right? But it's not. It should be there 24/7, and it should be there 24/7 and everywhere, anywhere. Right? No matter where, no matter what, and no matter when. This is how I feel about this. So don't be misled by your own perception of meditation. And sometimes the more stormy the meditation, the more fruitful it will be. But it is very difficult to overcome those storms. But if you actually persevere, each time you get stronger, each time you get more grounded to go through the storms. No matter how big they are, how strong they are. So I think I have answered this question, right? 24/7. So that's why the Buddha said, anywhere, everywhere is a suitable place. It's the best place to practice. Anywhere, everywhere, anytime, every time, all the time. All right? So break away from those perceptions. Yeah. So that is a quick question. Easy question. So the third question is, there are light and flower, incense and water offerings on the altar. And my understanding is that they are there 24/7 except for the water offering, which is removed in the afternoon. If that is true, why is it? Okay, let us understand about water offerings, okay? Because you mentioned about water offerings, and what does it mean by offering water? Okay, water, you can see, water is actually very useful, right? It can create energy. It can nourish a desert. It keeps us going. We have, in our body, how much water we have, right? So, and water actually benefits more than creating harm. So, by offering water, water means like it's equal. Water treats everything equal. Even though we have flood, water floods everywhere, right? Because it won't say, "Oh, I like Eva's house better, I'll flood her house." "Oh, I don't like Versa's house, I don't flood her house." No, water is equal. If it's running from high to low, it will flood everywhere. It will nourish us everywhere, right? So water is equal. Water is actually very humble. And the whole meaning behind the water offering is really a depiction of compassion, loving kindness, and purity. Okay? So when we offer anything on the altar, the Buddha and the Bodhisattva won't eat our fruits, won't drink our water, right? They don't come out and grab it and then have a bite and put it back for you, right? No, they don't need it. It's for us to practice. For us to practice. And we look through the water and we see, oh, look at the water. Water is so clean and it nourishes and it's equal. It treats everything equally. Oh, so I need to learn from water. And water is pure. You can see, except if there is dirt in there. If there is dirt there, it becomes murky water. So it's not water. It's not the offering water, right? So murky water, colored water, polluted water, sandy water, they all have something in front of the water. So it doesn't make it a water for offering because it's not clean. So for anything that is putting on the altar, especially the water, you can see through it clean, especially when we use glass, right? That's why I like to use glass rather than a ceramic cup or glass. Because with glass, you see through the water and you can penetrate through that purity. It allows you to actually see through. And this is how we actually should practice. attain through our practice is purity of the mind. So purity of the mind, and then develop that equanimity, that water treats everything equal. That means equanimity is very balanced, very embracing, very considerate. And so when we actually cultivate equanimity, and we develop strength in embracing differences, right? That means when we are able to embrace, that means we are less arrogant, right? When we are arrogant, we won't be able to embrace. Especially when we are so arrogant that we become so stubborn that it's impossible to embrace. Impossible. So, for example, you have a way of doing things like this, and others have a way of doing things like this, and maybe one day during the exchange, say, "Oh, why? Oh, I do it like this. Oh, I do it like this. If you want to do it like this, you do it." You see, that is lack of equanimity, and that is also a sign of arrogance, because I like to do it this way. If you want to do it your way, forget it. I'm not going to do it. So that we need. That is actually, when you look at the water, when we offer water, don't just put a glass of water on the altar and that's it. Water actually gives us a great lesson for us to develop. To become like water is really not easy, I tell you. Huh? Water is so soft, it flows through cracks. It diverges when it meets obstacle. You hear you always hear about me talking about metta, like it's like water. Water is like metta. It actually flows through obstacle and embrace it. Okay, so this offering of water, that means we would like to develop those strengths, and of course is develop this respect and gratitude for the Buddha and his teachings, right? So why do we have to remove it in the afternoon? It differs in some monasteries. Some monasteries leave it for a couple of days, or most monastery, most people. Well, I shouldn't say monastery. Some people leave it for a couple of days or 3 days, especially the householder, because they don't want to. They don't change it. But for us at the nunnery or at the temple or monastery, we actually remove it after lunchtime. Why? Because you want to offer clean water. So throughout the day, unless you have a lid on the cup, then the water will collect dust, and also it will evaporate, right? So when you fill up the cup, you may fill up to like almost that much to the rim, but throughout the day it may evaporate. You only have half left, and that is really quite not respectful to offer half left water. So that's why we remove it, and also because water is considered as nourishment for our body too, and for monastics, a lot of monastics actually still abide by the law, by the rule of not eating it after lunch. So that's why we also remove water in that way, in that sense. So offering water in being taught in the sutra, especially the Amitabha Sutra, it talks about the 8 meritorious 8功德水, the 8 meritorious or 8 virtues, 8 virtues of water, or 8 merits of offering water. So, so the first one is because it's pure, right? It's like morality and keeping good sila. And the second one is because it presents as, it seems that the water is tasteless, but when you have good water, you taste it, it's sweet. So sweetness, it's the best taste. Okay, and then and water is, even though it's actually light, but it could be very strong and powerful. Like a drop of rain, very light. But with so much rain coming together, it could be very strong and powerful, right? So that means that water, that is actually a depiction of us being able to be strong and powerful in the way of Dhamma practice. Okay, and then it's soothing, right? Soothing, because during a hot day, if you take a cold shower, it feels so nice, like, right? And also, its clarity means our mind is clear and bright, right? And also, it can clean out all pollutants, okay? Because you can clean it out and remove all the dust and all the smell. And also, if we drink water, if we used to drink water, it soothes our throat, it soothes our vocal cord. And so when we talk, and when we speak, and when we teach the Dhamma, we'll teach with a good voice, right? And harmonious speech. And then the last one is it nourishes the body, so it gives you health and free of sickness. It's difficult, you want to remember the, I know. Okay, so that's the 8, eight 八功德水, the 8 virtues or 8 merits of water. Okay, so that's the third question. Got it? Good. All right. The fourth one. It said, is crying useful or not useful when dealing with emotions, both happy emotions and sad emotions? Although it is a natural process, some cry more than others. Can you please comment on tears? It's not like, it's like psychology. It's psychology more. Well, the Buddha is the greatest psychologist. Crying. Crying actually is human beings, all beings use it to express their emotions, right? To express the emotions is a one type of expression, right? And I think crying is the most direct emotional expression of human beings. Whether they are sad or whether they're happy, they cry, then they always say, oh, no, these are happy tears. So is there a difference between a happy tears and a sad tears? We should do some chemical study. I think people did do some chemical study, experimental study about tears. I didn't bother to go and look, but I mean, I think this is quite a good question. Is sometimes when people are angry, they can also cry, right? Or when they are scared, they can also cry, right? So it's not just really sad or happy. It could be angry. It could be It could be scary, it could be upset, it could be defiled. The mind can be defiled and still cry and will cry. So, and sometimes people feel that, oh, it's so aimless, or it's so 無聊點講？無聊嘅英文點講啊 ？Titania， 無聊英文點講？唔無聊啊 ？Anybody knows 無聊英文點講 ？Put up your hand. Some of your English is better than mine. 無聊啊！嚇 Google. Okay. Sometimes people feel like aimless or nothing to do is boring. 沉悶啫 boring 嗬 Yeah 無聊唔係 boring 啊 Yeah Huh? Pointless no 無聊 You have a phone? Yeah. Look it up, please. 無聊 I know, give it to Deng Shenxi to look it up. So, yeah. But for us, a lot of times people think that, look it up, yeah. A lot of times people think that tiresome is no. 無聊唔係 tiresome. So a lot of times people think that crying is a bad thing. But I think from a psychological point of view, crying is really not a bad thing. It could be actually, sometimes it could be a good thing, because it allows the emotions to be expressed, to be. Oh, they don't have. Go and get your phone. They don't have Chinese. They don't have Chinese. Yeah, go and get your phone and check it out. Titania, Google 都係 boring 啊 Wow, really? That's not right. Yeah, 無聊 is not right. Yeah, you see, that's the beauty of Chinese language. Sorry. Yeah, they all said boring. Google said boring. Anyway. Sorry, Versha, you don't have Chinese on your phone. We asked an English-speaking person to allow us to use their phone to look for a Chinese word.
Sorry, I see what that.
Okay, so actually I think I have read somewhere some time ago that actually talking about crying is actually from humdrum. What is that word? Boring. Oh.
Dull.
Lifeless, mundane. Okay. Dull, lifeless, mundane. All add together. Boring. I think boring is part of 無聊. Monotonous. Monotonous. What does it mean?
Boring.
Boring.
Never changes.
And we
No.
Ups and downs.
Oh, no. 無聊 is not no. 無聊 is you're senseless, or you're boring. You're. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think we can actually find a good description. But anyway, never mind. Or when you're bored, you can cry too. All right. When you're bored, you can cry. So, I think a lot of times we have a misconception about crying is weak. You're weak. That's why you cry. I don't think so. I don't agree with that. Actually, I think crying I think I read somewhere some long time ago is about crying is it's sort of like a self-protective mode, because the tears are also like fuzzy up your eyes, right? So if you are angry and if you cry, it fuzzy up and you don't see your enemy. You don't actually attack it so badly. I think I can't remember where I saw it, but anyway, and sometimes people, people think that crying is weak, and also when we cry, if one's cry, and especially among others, and others will think that, oh, well, they're weak, so I don't have to be so much on guard for them, so they may become less hostile to you because when you cry, right? So crying, is it really useful when dealing with emotions? It's an expression, okay? I feel that sometimes you need to cry to decompress, de-stress, but don't cry like crazy, like those like crazy. But if crying when you are aware of it, then I think it helps you to deal with that emotion in a much better way. So mindfulness together with mindfulness, that crying could be could be very therapeutic. Especially when we meditate, as you recall what I told you about during my long course when I frivolous. What is frivolous? Boring.
No,
Like
not
unneeded.
Yeah.
Ah.
Unnecessary
Yeah.
and unimportant.
Yeah, something like that. Frivolous. KS. Frivolous. Plus boring. Plus humdrum. Plus monotonous. Everything, okay? Frivolous. Oh, learn a new word today. Huh?
Good job, KS.
Yeah.
Good job, KS. Good job. Or Claudio, tedious. No, repetitious. Lacking in, that is boring. Claudio, that is boring. But anyway, we come back to tears. So you remember when I talked to you about my experience in my long course? One day I was like very agitated. Not very agitated. I was agitated. I was really, I so agitated, irritated. But I didn't respond to it. I just observe it. A lot of agitation, a lot of irritation, and it's difficult to maintain, really sit for longer than 1 hour or 1.5 hours for a couple of days like that. And then the third day, as soon as I sat down in the afternoon meditation, 1 o'clock, I was in the cell, and blah, 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 cry. And all the tears come. Like the river, like really turn on the tap. Cry. Then I felt my tears. I felt all the warmth and the wetness, and I was mindful. Wow, tears. Ooh, cry. I haven't cried for long time like that. And all of a sudden, this whole vision of my mom just passed like flick of moments. This is too long already, just like that. And this memory of my mom when I was younger. When I was very young, I think I was 5 years old or 6 years old. I still remember that. Oh, then I knew that was the grief of my mom, which I haven't dealt with when she passed away. When she died, I did not deal with it and being suppressed, and only when I actually started to really meditate, and it started to surface, and eventually really surfaced and ended up in that crying. And of course I was in a meditation cell, and that I just allowed the tears to continue his own pace and his own path. Then I just observed, and in no time it just stops. It stopped, but next day it came back again, and next day it came back again, but every day it came back less and less. But I thought I had dealt with that. But next year I went to another long course again. No, haven't dealt with it. Completely, it came up again. Came up again, and I think 3 years, 3 years, consecutive, 3 years I went to long courses, and 3 years. And the third year, it came, something came up. I no tears, but there's this kind of sadness in my feeling, in my emotion. And I knew it was the remnants of the grief. And after that, whenever I talk about my mom, no more tears came. No more tears came. But before that, every time I talk about my mom, all the time, I would cry. You know, I was have tears. And remember that once I talk about my mom during the Dharma sharing, I couldn't stop crying. Remember that? That was long time ago. Oh, you see, even I cry, you didn't remember. Can't remember, yeah. That was my birthday, I remember. I wrote a poem, remember? No, you don't remember. You don't remember a poem? That was such a good poem. Yeah, it was a very good poem. But anyway, so I think crying is actually one of the way that humans express their emotions. And I don't think we should actually suppress it, nor encourage it to express in a wild way, but just allow it to actually express itself, but be mindful of it. Be mindful of all the sensations that come with crying. Because when you cry, there will be sensations in the physical body. If it is a crying of happiness, then you will have different kind of sensation. If it is a crying of sadness or grief, and it will be different kind of sensation. So you can use that as a meditation tool, rather than as a mundane thing to look at, right? And so. But in the Buddhist world, it's actually very, very, very common to actually, when you read something very touching, especially me, when I will see this year whether it will happen again. Every time I read the I told you before, every time I read the Parinibbana Sutta, Mahaparinibbana Sutta, towards the end, when the Buddha went into Nibbana, the tears would just roll down on my face wherever I am. I've read that sutta before, and in the past 2 summer retreat we have read that, and it happened the same. And so this summer we are now reading that sutta again. So we will see, because that is very common. Why? Because it actually bring alive your gratitude. Also bring alive your compassion. It could be for yourself to begin with, and then throughout the training, hopefully you will actually be strong enough to, your compassion will be strong enough to actually to help others, you know. So it is actually very, very common I've heard about people crying when they just went into a praying hall, or hear some chanting, or read some sutra and all that. So yeah, it's actually very common. It brings to life whatever memories that you have stored from the past, and it brings alive. So that could result in such emotions. But whatever, no matter what's the reason for that crying, remember, don't allow it to go wild. Okay? Always, always be mindful of it. Answer questions? Good? All right. And tears, go and look it up. Chemical components of happy tears, chemical components of sad tears. Or you could do an experiment. Water has memories, right? You could do an experiment when you're sad. If you cry, get a dropper and get the tears, and put it with a uncooked rice. Put it there. Soak the rice with your sad tears, and when you are happy, get a dropper, get those happy tears, and put it in the rice and mark it, and put it there, and see what happens with the rice. Remember that water, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the whole movie was What the Bleep Do We Know?
Yeah. What the blip is?
What the bleep do we know?
What the blip do we know?
Crystals change.
Yeah, the crystal changes. Dr. Imoki or whatever. Can't remember his name, Japanese name. Yeah, so that's it for tonight. Oh, Titania. Titania asked, how's the graduation ceremony at the prison? Did the seventh guy?
The seventh student show up.
He did show up. He did show up. You have the picture? Can you show the thank you card? Oh.
I have to show it from here.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It went really well. It was great, and they all came on time with a feedback form, and the seventh guy showed up. Although he didn't come for the one-day meditation. I don't think he can make it through the one-day meditation, because I have given him a nickname accidentally, because I asked them in one of the class, I asked them what is the dream career, and what did they do before they were incarcerated. And he said he worked with explosive. He worked in explosions career. And I said, no wonder why you're so explosive. He is very explosive. He's always constantly like fidgeting. And he's the youngest guy. And I said, oh, no wonder why you're so explosive. And he was so happy about that explosive nickname. And he talked about it for the 7 days. And so yesterday, Eva gave them a homework, a classwork, and asked them to think about this 9 weeks. In 3 years' time, what would they remember about these 9 weeks? And you know what this explosive guy said? I will remember I'm called explosive by Sister Jessie. So he was so happy. He got a certificate. Yeah, that is the gift that they gave us, blowing up into speaker mode. Just blow it up. You have to drag it through. No, you have to drag. Oh, you have to drag it so that they.
You want to see it bigger?
Can they see it?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's
That's what they give us. They made a card, and inside they all wrote little passages. And one guy said it was a really life-changing experience, and he said, I will be very mindful and keep practicing. And he said, deep gratitude from me and my family for these wonderful teachings, right? It was great. Yeah, and there was the second, well, there was the second youngest guy said, no, third youngest guy said, oh, the meditation has given me a chance to deal with my depression, and I'm more confident now. So yeah, so it went really well, yeah, and so
100% attendance.
yeah, 100% attendance for 9 weeks. Yeah, we really have to say that to Campbell.
Amazing.
Yeah, we never had happened like that. So they said they wish it would be longer. It would be a longer course, but I think 9 weeks is just great. It's just good. It's really good because the first session is meditation, and then the second session we talk about the 8 mindful steps to happiness. That means the 8 noble path. Yeah. So it depends on whether they invite us to go back. Again, if they invite us to go back again, we'll do the Mahamangala Sutta. Yeah. So coming back, so yeah, that's great. That was a little story. Yeah. Okay. So let us dedicate our merits. May these blessings extend to all, that we, with all the other living beings, together will attain the Buddha way. May we wish more and more people will encounter the words of the Buddha, study them, understand them, practice them, and help themselves to come out of all the entanglements, defilements, afflictions, and be ultimately free and happy and peaceful.